Hey folks, Joel Turner here with Iron Mind Hunting. Today we're going to talk about shooting a bow with your thumb instead of with your fingers. Getting lots of questions on the internet and on phone as far as why do I shoot with my thumb and how do I shoot with my thumb. The why of it is I like to have new challenges in archery. And I've been shooting my thumb for about 3 years now, and I was not getting the challenges that I wanted out of shooting with my fingers. I've got mental control of my shot now, so I can experiment with all kinds of different things. And I thought I'd try thumb shooting. So it took me a long time to figure it out. There's lots of good information out there, but it seems to be segmented, and I needed just how to do it. So I just started into it, and I started shooting. I bought a thumb type glove with a thumb tab on it, and I've experimented with thumb rings and all kinds of different ways of shooting with your thumb. And I found out some very interesting things. When you make a glove, and I'll show you some pictures of this, when you make a glove or if you buy a glove on the market, the biggest factor as far as the cleanliness of your release is the backing leather. It's not necessarily the face leather. I use good cordovan leather for my face, but it's the backing leather thickness that will dictate the cleanliness of your release. If the leather is too thin, like I was finding on most gloves that I bought on the market, the release was grabby and it was not a clean release. If the leather is too thick, like I was making it personally, if it's too thick, your thumb can't bend enough to wrap around the string and you can hardly hold on to the string. So finding the backing leather thickness was the key to the cleanliness of the release when shooting with your thumb. For a right-handed shooter, if you put your thumb directly underneath the nock, all the way up against the nock, your index finger will actually, as you draw back, it will push the arrow off of the rest. That is the reason why we drop this down. We've got our extra stop knot here for our thumb tab. That tab goes underneath that stop knot, and then you wrap your finger around your thumb, and that keeps it below and makes it so that your index finger doesn't have so much push on the arrow. And of course, this fixed crawl can be made down lower and lower to where you get actually underneath, but then you'll have to tune your bow accordingly. I like to have the distance from the top of my nock to the bottom of my knot about 5/8 of an inch. This system can also be shot with a thumb ring. This is the ring style that I prefer, with a skirt on it. And it's got a flat portion here. The string actually goes up against the skirt and up against the ring. Again, if you're shooting a right-handed bow with the arrow on this side of the bow, like you normally would with your fingers, the ring goes in underneath your stop knot and butts up against it. One key point about shooting with a ring, a lot of people take a deep hook with their finger over their thumbnail, and that makes for somewhat of a grabby release. If you take your finger and make it so that your thumbnail is in the middle of your index finger, and you don't have to wrap it around, just simply leave it straight. That goes underneath your stop knot, that goes straight, and then you pull back and it makes for a cleaner release. There are many different types of thumb rings on the market. This is just what I prefer. This is a left-handed bow that I shoot right-handed, but in the Asian cultures the arrow's on the other side of the bow. That was meant to keep the arrow on there for horse archery. In this stop knot is very small. My ring actually goes right up against my arrow. But because the arrow's on the other side of the bow, this pressure that you can put on it with your index finger actually holds the arrow against the side of the bow. That's the pressure that was used to keep the arrow on the rest as the archer rode their horse and was, of course, bouncing around. So anytime you shoot with the arrow on the other side of the bow, you can put your thumb ring or your thumb tab directly underneath the arrow. There doesn't have to be a fixed crawl with that. So again, I've been shooting with my thumb now for about 3 years, and it's been a pretty steep learning curve. I've found that it's not necessarily more accurate than with my fingers, but it's just as accurate as with my fingers. Also, when I shoot a right-handed bow, and you see that I shoot with that very solid anchor point on the side of my face, I get an extra 2 inches of draw length. If I shoot a left-handed bow and I draw that string back further, I get an extra 3.5 inches of draw length, which increases the power stroke on that bow significantly. So those are some of the advantages of shooting with your thumb. Also, you will see that when I'm at full draw, you'll see that the string hits my face, but because the thumb releases reverse of your fingers, the string actually goes out around my face, so I never have any trouble with the string hitting my face or my nose or any of those things. So if you have more questions on shooting with your thumb or your fingers or a mechanical release, email me at joel@ironmindhunting.com. Thanks, folks.